Good morning. Welcome to session 26 of Get Wise. I can't believe this is already our 26th video. It feels like just a couple days ago that we actually started doing these. But this actually is going to be our final week of this. And so if you've been following through from the very beginning with us, thanks. I'm excited. We're almost to the finish line. If this is the first video you're checking, I know I say this every time, you're welcome to stay with us. Or if you want to go back, like I said, there's 25 videos before this point, starting about a month ago, just a little sooner. So today we're going to be looking at Proverbs chapter 26, and it's one of those ones, like a lot of Proverbs, that just throws a lot of random wisdom just back and forth, that there's not necessarily this natural connecting point that we're like, man, there's this common theme or something that we can take away from this. As I've read through this chapter and spent some time in chapter 26, the only thing that I could really come together with was this theme, this idea of animals or like archery or warriors, and we'll look through this more specifically. But the question I kind of want to get us started before we launch in is what, for those that have had pets, and if you haven't had pets, maybe you can think of something similar. But what is an important lesson you've learned from owning or being a part of having a pet? So be that a dog, a fish, parrots, whatever pet you have, maybe a cat. What are some lessons that you've learned from having pets? Because I know from my experience, I learned some really important lessons from them. Also some amazing memories as you get to love them and take care of them, and there's definitely a sweetness in that. And so go ahead and pause this video and think about what is one lesson that you learned from having pets. So go ahead and do that now. Awesome. Great. So once again, this chapter we're going to see he's going to use some animals to kind of help us get a grasp on some of the wisdom that he's trying to pass on to us. And so as we jump in, I want you to go ahead and now pause this video and read all of the chapter, all 28 verses of it, and maybe underline. If you're an underliner, if you're not some of the underlines, then maybe write it out in your journal. Maybe do a little bit of both. But what are the 3 key verses that really stick out to you? And I think this is important as you have gone through all of Proverbs now at this point, and as we continue on. Sometimes we just need to take one verse out. What is one piece of wisdom that we can take that makes us wise? And so go ahead and pause this video, read through the chapter, and find what is that 1, 2, or 3 verses that stick out to you that you're like, man, I needed this today. And so go ahead and take some time and do that. All right, welcome back. I want to go ahead and share with you what the 3 verses that I picked. The first one is actually Proverbs 26:11. So it's verse 11. And it says this: like a dog that returns to his vomit is a fool who repeats his folly. And I love this image of kind of the idea. You always see those dogs that throw up, and then all of a sudden they're looking back up a second later, and you're like, that is the grossest thing in the world. But it's really interesting that he's using this image of a dog going back to his vomit, was similarly to a fool that is repeatedly doing the same thing over and over and over again, and not learning his lesson. And so I want you to go ahead and pause this video and think through this question: when is a time that you have gone back to you did something that you're like, man, this is really foolish, and then you go back to it and do it again and again and again and don't learn your lesson. So go ahead and pause this video and think through that question. All right. Yeah, I think for me, as I've thought through life, there's a couple of times where I was like, man, this is a really, really poor decision. And it's really interesting because I'm always tempted to go back. Like I remember in school, something that I did all the time was I pushed my projects until the very last minute. You can talk to my parents, you can talk to some of my friends, but from the time I was really little to all through college and probably even now, I always tend to push off my project until the last minute. What this led to was an extremely late night, very little sleep, and then trying to take a test or turn in a project after being really tired. And every time I'd be like, this is the stupidest thing in the world. I should give myself more time to think through this and prepare and plan. But I did it every time. And so that's just one that's kind of easier. There's some other bad mistakes that I've done over and over, but that I thought of. So the second verse that I want to think through is actually verse 18 and 19. Let me go ahead and read those out. So it says this: like a madman who throws firebrands, arrows, and death is the man who deceives his neighbor and says, I'm only joking. One, I like how this starts. It's like a madman throwing firebrands, arrows, and death. In my mind, I'm trying to picture what does it mean to throw death. I don't know, but throwing arrows is a little bit easier, firebrands. But it's kind of this idea of deceiving somebody and then saying, I'm only joking. Don't worry. I remember kind of a story of when I was a kid. One of my best friends, while we were on vacation, we were talking on the phone, and he was telling me about this new game that came out, and totally was lying about it, everything about it, the characters, the aspect of it. But he took like two of our favorite games and put them together, and was like, "Yeah, this new game came out, and I'm playing it." And I had my heart set on it, and so all of break, I was thinking about this cool game that I could play when I get back home with my buddy. And I get back, and then he gets it, and I'm like, where is it? Like, let's bust it out. And he's like, I was only joking. And it was such a simple thing, but it hurt because I couldn't trust him as well. And so I want you to go and pause this video and think through, man, when is a time, and maybe this is when you were deceived, or a time that you've deceived somebody else, because I've definitely done this before, and just said, I'm only joking. And a lot of times in our culture, I think we use this a lot in sharing very hurtful things, but then brushing off and saying, I'm only joking. And we tend to hurt people a lot. And so go and pause this video and think about it in your life, wherever you've seen this happen. I'm only joking. It's not a big thing. So go and think about that. All right, great. Now we've kind of come to the final verse I really liked, and these were verses 20 through 21. And it says this: for lack of wood, the fire goes out, and where there is no whisper, quarreling ceases. As charcoal to hot embers and wood to fire, so is the quarrelsome man for kindling strife. I lost my place there for a second. Let me read that one more time. For lack of wood, the fire goes out, and where there is no whisper, quarreling ceases. As charcoal to hot embers and wood to fire, so is a quarrelsome man for kindling strife. I think this is a really beautiful passage that I think can help us every day. Is, man, when we hear that whisper that's kind of egging people on or talking behind people's back and just chatting constantly, even if it's not out loud, but saying silent remarks as we're walking away, this leads to quarreling and causing problems, even within friend groups and communities and even classes. When we're constantly talking, like for those, I know we've all spent time on Zoom in this season, but if you have that one person that's not mute that's talking in the back, it drives everybody up a wall, because you're trying to accomplish and talk, but these one people are kind of chatting or whatever, and it's driving you nuts. But I think what Solomon's saying here is that when you don't do this, it's like a fire without wood. There is nothing to burn. And so I think the final questions that I want to leave you with today, there's actually three, is what kind of person are you? What kind of man or woman of God are you? Are you somebody that is chatting and whispering behind people's backs and talking about people and egging people on? Or are you the kind that doesn't give fuel to the flame and allows quarrelsome to die off? So that's the first question. What kind of person are you? The second one is, do you tend, and this kind of goes off this first question, but the second one is, do you tend to stabilize groups that you're a part of, or do you kind of push them into chaos. And what I mean by that is when you're this person that doesn't put wood to the fire. Words are hard on Monday. Sorry. You guys always get me on Monday. But are you one of those people that when you get to a group, you put wood on the fire that causes problems and chaos and talking behind people's back and kind of bringing division within a group? Or are you somebody that tries to make the group more peaceful and you stabilize it as a good foundation so people can count on you? And so how do you interact with other people? And so that's the second question. And thirdly, how do you think Solomon would say, or what do you think from this chapter Solomon says a wise person would handle? How would he handle those situations? What does a wise person do? Or maybe even further than that, what is the heart desire of a wise person when it comes to quarreling and strife and being in groups? So those are your 3 questions. I'll repeat them one more time. The first one is, what kind of person are you? The second one is, do you stabilize a group or lead your group into chaos? And finally, what should a wise person desire or do, according to Solomon in this chapter? So thanks for tuning in once again. Have a great day and enjoy the sun. Bye.